dose of fear. Isn't it the truth? So this is going to be a fun video. I will prepare you ahead of time. Strap in. Open up the gray matter and let's begin to take a fun little journey. By the way, this video is for educational purposes only. No copyright or trademark infringements have been violated under provision of the U.S. Fair Use Act. Frequency. It's how we have been designed. You've seen the last couple of videos. And when you begin to understand some things, how your body is a bioelectrical machine. It forms billions of functions automatically, not even aware of it. When you really think about the ability of what we have inside of us and what this is amazing. Particularly when you get to look in some of the deeper things about this, and we are. So remember, frequency, guys, ladies, you must learn and understand as you become aware of more things. It's like a brain that has to be first programmed at the very early stages of life. And it's, for instance, introducing to the brain the concept of mathematics. It's introducing to the brain the concept of what language is. It introduces to the brain what language it will be speaking. It's quite complex. And then when you begin to add the soul to it, and then the spark, of the eternal spirit, it really gets very interesting. So I'm going to tell you a story. You're going to like this story because this is not my story. I'm going to be reading you another man's story, but his story sounds a lot like my story. And I have no doubt when you begin to see this for yourself, it's going to sound a lot like your story. And therein lies something that you have to understand inside of you. We've lost this ability to trust. We've lost this ability to truly love one another because our past, which has been erased from us, has yet been somehow imprinted upon us. It's being imprinted upon us on our DNA. And folks, you're about to discover how very valuable that DNA is. So let's continue. So the source of this information is Wikileaks, and this is from their global intelligence files. I will leave the link. The subject providing this information is right here. This came out on December the 6th, 2009. You can see that this is from the Stratford organization. And, they're rewriting things, and maybe many of you do not understand who and what the controversy was around the Stratford. Man, I'm going to tell you what, these cats were really into some heavy, heavy stuff. There's no doubt about it. Okay, so we got that down. So the key points to remember, and we're going to read actually, not all of this, we're going to actually read these key sections. So it's very important to remember the key points as we start to go through here. And let's look at them. Greys and reptilians, and there's 47 other species here. The greys and the reptilians, and a number of these are part of a federation. Not to our benefit, may I add. Oddly enough, there are races beings that are multidimensional. They can actually take physical space in different dimensions at the same time. And when we begin to understand about the frequencies and the harmonics, and when you begin to understand how that begins to tie into the fabric of what a being is, anything's possible. All use frequencies. They feed off our souls, and you're going to find out how they do this. Yeah, I know. They need our DNA. We're going to talk about religion, how they instilled it in us. We're going to talk about mind control weapons. We're going to talk how to protect yourself. We're going to talk about how ET warns of dramatic Earth changes ahead. There are friendly ETs and how they feed and control humans. We're going to start with the Greys and the Reptilians. These are bad, bad, bad people. You can't even call them people. They're not of our species, but they have put their DNA into ours. They're controlling. You're going to find out here in a few seconds that the Greys and the Reptilians, but particularly the Greys, are of the hive mentality. Their society is of the hive structure. Think about the Borg. It's exactly what they are. And that's exactly what they're doing. So we're going to start reading here. Hold on one second. So we're just going to read some highlights here. I mean, because this is a fascinating read. I tell you, when you go through it, you just, sift through it what you can handle and throw away what you can't. So let's go on with this. He says, I think this may help you understand why this planet is scientifically, environmentally, politically, and religiously a disaster. Several years ago, after leaving the armed service, I was abducted by Gray 3 to 6 dimensions that are working with the Reptilians, the Federation. The Federation is a non-human NATO-type organization. Gray, reptilians, insectoids, mothmen, recessive beings like the ones in the movies, mostly violent and self-destructive. There are about 42 other type of species of military males in various bases in the United States. Some of the reptilian bases are in the U.S., Arizona, New Mexico, and in the Middle East. You can find more information on the, look at that, Orion beings and non-Earth, non-human, discussed in thousands of contact books, thousands of internet sites. Now, I'm just going to kind of skip through here to kind of hit some of the high points. Now, I'm going to leave this up there so you can actually see how they do this. They come in and they really start basically manipulating you in abusive relationships, agitation, alcohol, sex, drugs. I mean, you pretty much name it. And they can do this. And we know they can do this through frequencies. It says the reptilian hybrids and Greys are working with a type of fifth and sixth dimension ascended brotherhood, communally minded, hive-minded, social subspace beings, frequency, energy, space, society beings, controlling many false religions and non-human type religions, belief systems. Why? A, for control so that the humans do not go into space to find their ET non-human ET bases, cities, and ships. Folks, you may not believe this, but our race has been out there before. Folks, you're going to realize this is a prison planet. B, because of our souls. This is very complicated to understand. We have a soul. The soul is a frequency, atomic particle, electric formation that is part of us. But according to all legends and some modern technology, the soul can be taken with the use of high frequency, high voltage technology. The soul is a vestige of our genetic past. That was a piece in much the same way our reptilian lower brain is of another space ET race. There are several types of ETs that can remove this frequency part of your body. Reptilians, Greys, fallen angels, devils, they steal it and use it for longevity, for frequency energy, and for their own race studies, just like some ETs do with our DNA, ovum, and sperm through adduction. Thousands of very well documented cases around the world. People chose to ignore this because it sounds far off. This type of information is found in thousands of mythology and factual alien abduction accounts. C, for DNA, and because DNA is a resource, life for them, as the soul and in many real medical ways. The Federation, let's talk about that. The White Brotherhood, Reptilians, Greys, the Fallen Angels, Ascended Masters, Ashtar, Midwayers, Dracos, Draconians, Relayians, all of these ET, recessive, demonic, and dogmatic societies recruit people aggressively from dark religions. The Art of Living, the Illuminati, Jesus demonic cults, Scientology, Raelians, cults in general. I mean, this goes right on down the whole list. And the reason for it is for mind control. So let's talk about religion. This is important. Religion is a legend. Some are factual, most are not. A construct written by various non-humans, interdimensional, recessive, demonic ET races, and by some not so well educated semi-primitive humans. It is a very misleading and troublesome. Religion does not help us solve our problems of global warming, cancers, defense against recessive ETs, economy. Instead, religion focuses on a construct which is incoherent. Jesus and God will help. Neither can be further from the truth. The Bible, Quran, Buddha verdict, texts, etc., all full of wars initiated by ET-type gods, non-human. ETs never helping, but instead killing humans. WW2, Greys with the Nazis. The earth in the worst condition ever, as is the human race. Read the newspapers. And neither Jesus, God, nor Buddha is helping us. The churches are filled with pedophiles, Catholic and Christian churches, i.e. U.S. archdioceses, settling for billions of dollars, and others, evangelists, for raping young girls in the news. Listen, it just goes on and on. The point to all this is that it's used as control. And any person in Bible school, any person in anthropology, in college, when you study religious studies, neither religion is very pretty. In fact, it's very, very destructive. Okay, let's go on. Like I said, I'm not going to read all of this in the context. You can go and check this out. Now, let's go on. All extraterrestrials are physical carbon-based, silicon-based, molecular-based beings, atomic frequency-based, ALL, all including the ones all use magnetic field technology to cloak themselves, to travel, and as weapons, and to appear as human. Many of the non-human ETs live for hundreds of years. Some subspace CH-type live for thousands of years. Many subspace frequency energy beings and many space beings are capable of low megahertz telepathy at 3 to 19 megahertz, and more importantly, of astral body takeover, soul frequency intrusion, seen on many movies as a form of possession or a demonic slavery, having various levels of free will to no free will at all. Some religious leaders are seen as having little to no movement and lethargic speech. They are in a controlled state of living. This state of being, who some believe can be resolved by exorcism or removing of the controlling soul frequency, is associated with constant pains, muscle spasm, body manipulation, and mind control. Taser or mild electric shocks may force the invader's control away. RF and microwave also have an effect. Red light therapy can also work after many months. Battling these demonic ETs is very difficult. You will need brain megahertz, thinking frequency, consciousness protection discussed below. A ghost or ET beings are at a different megahertz than human beings. Often they make noise to get our attention. We do not see them at these invisible light spectrums to the naked eye frequencies. Use infrared and other gadgets. Actually, I just put that in there that we can't see that. Now, Let's talk about the human soul. Yeah, this is really interesting to me, folks. I mean, like I said, I don't know if this is true or not, but when I read this, it makes a lot of sense. To clarify, the soul, the frequency atomic and subatomic energies, the planet is processed in various energy frequency fields measured in megahertz consciousness. We think in megahertz energy, watch TV in megahertz, listen to music, video. We speak in megahertz and live in megahertz. Thus, we are controlled and are megahertz energy too. Are you catching this, folks? So, some very intelligent people see and believe in ghosts, elementals, and space soul beings, ETs, etc. Some people get cold in some areas, or when some soul beings are around. These space megahertz atomic beings, take your energy. They steal it. Another way to understand this, how many times do you eat per day and why? The food is converted into energy and heat, and when you encounter a ghost, a soul frequency being, it feeds off your energy. Millions of people do not sleep well. They get headaches, cannot concentrate. They are bathed in frequency from hundreds of sources. The soul, brain, and body never rest. Shield yourself. He talks about Bringers of a Dawn. It's a book that I think you can actually write. It talks about how some of these entities, in the process of their own evolution, began to discover that they created life and put consciousness into things through modulating the frequencies of forms of consciousness. They could feed themselves. They could keep themselves in charge. They began to figure out that this is how the Prime Creator nourished itself. Prime Creator sends out others to create an electromagnetic frequency of consciousness as a food source for itself. Well, that's pretty wild. The new owners of this planet had a different appetite and different preference than the former owners. I've heard about this. They nourished themselves with chaos and fear. These things fed them, stimulated them, and kept them in power. He gives a book here, I think Barbara Marinick, Bringers of the Dawn, Human Beings Are Trapped in a Stable Megahertz Frequency Being. Goes on to talk about the reptilians, and they're coming back to raid you again because they don't want to starve the Federation frequency Maywear. And I think that's what it is. There's an A that seems to be transposed every time this is put in a Word document. They understand that there is a system busting going through you, Palladiums. So they are here to create greater havoc and fear, to fight once again for this territory. Their food source is important to them. They are losing control of the planet, so they are going back to their primal portal in the Middle East through war, where their nest is located underneath the ground, the reptilians, to create fear and chaos. And this book brings it on. Let's continue. Mind control weapons. The weapons I have seen people subjected to, mind control, frequency signal control, i.e. Tower of Babel, around the world, the transmitters are hidden in caves and beamed in by gray satellite. This weapon, seen by myself, is difficult to describe. It is a multi-layered mist like carpet, which contains both chemical and magnetic frequency structures in it. This plasma mist weapon is launched from the UFO and has electrical megahertz stinging properties to it. I noticed that high-intensity fire collapses the mist field. It can be shown by some crop circle researchers that some crop circles have similar frequency field misting technology. Isn't that amazing? So don't be debunking all those crop circles. Some of the orbs, glowing ones, seen are either weapons with lasers or frequency attack projections and are recording your brain thoughts. They're recording it in the 5 to 80 megahertz and sending the info to the reptilian grays. We humans desperately need better, more advanced detection in the areas of detecting magnetic crafts in our atmosphere. Non-USA saucers, by the way. Frequency control detection, field technology, laser detection, and better weapons, better armed military. Guns do not work against some space mind weighers. Frequency beams, high energy chemical lasers do, RF lasers do. Some stable plasma technologies work. Some of these technologies can be detected with Geiger counters and magnetic field detectors sold online. Directional is preferred. Also passive radar detecting magnetic changes in the atmosphere and around the homes. to find the electrical device and around them and the nearby. And around them in their nearby craft. For your homes and cars, some of the Greys and Reptilian devices can be disrupted by megahertz frequency devices. Built at home, some could make a small fortune selling better portable particle frequency and wave detection. I think I just found my next company. I want to think about Anunnaki as well. Remember all those, like the purses they carried? Does this begin to make sense? I propose, ladies and gentlemen, that those little purses that you see in all of these hieroglyphs and pictographs around the world are, in fact, they are frequency devices. Think about it. If you begin to build a field around you, you are immune to any attack. You can control those lesser around you. Think about this. High voltage taser weapons works very well. Handheld powerful battery operated magnets in close proximity can interfere with great technologies. Magnetic shielding paint can shield a room in your home, your house where no EMF or ELF is detected. Other races of subspace beings have technology that I've seen are defended against with hand lasers built at home. Critical. We are not the only humans in the universe or multiverse. There are humans from, and I am not going to go through here, trust me. I can see that there's Lyra, Palladians. Most of these are all constellations that we're all known of. He says that there are pro-human confederations, galaxies, and billion more. 3, even more important, the Grey Federation is using religion to dumb down all on this earth. 3, all religions have misleading information. He says there is no God, only extraterrestrials and human support groups from other worlds. The Earth, which NASA is just now locating, are inhabited. He goes on to say that our military is attacked. And here's the problem here. When you read this, folks, you get real concerned real quick. So here's what they use. He says they use the 8 to 120 megahertz broadband mind control technologies piggybacked on TV, cell phones, and cable signals, important for you to remember. And listen, I come from the video industry. I can tell you it's absolutely 100% correct. You're tracked. We all are tracked. He goes on to say the strategy used by the Greys and the others is to mind control in the name of religion, Allah, not so well-informed persons. And I'm not going to go through all this. I mean, it's hard to take particularly, and I think, I'm respectful. This is a lot of take, and it goes contrary to everything that I was ever taught. And so, yeah, it can be a real assault. But let's go on. He goes on to say one being had an advanced weapon, which I determined was a magnetic laser weapon, which would track me as I moved around my home, either biometrically or by implant. I sure would like an idea on how to protect against RF. That's a good one. Now, back in the day, no, I won't talk. I can tell you, if you were to lay copper wire mesh in a room, and then seal it with lead-lined drywall, I can guarantee you get yourself into a safe place. Okay, let's go on. I will let you read this. Obviously, I'm going slow enough that all of you can. I just want to get to the highlights of the point. He goes in here and he talks about how to protect yourself. And he just goes on. There are technologies you can buy to protect yourself. Guns, tasers, high volts, mind brain protection, Velostrat 3M caps, goes on with this. I don't know. This is new to me as well. He talks about having extra food and defenses at home for your family. It's no coincidence that in the movies on abduction and on aliens, we are seeing a lot more of ET films on TV, House, 2012, District 9, he just goes on and on. It's true. We are. E.T. warns of Earth changes, says that the Greys said that the Earth is entering a photon belt of very dangerous particles. This explains global warming within the context of a very dormant sunspot cycle. Some ancient scriptures, books that I have researched, speak about a method by which humans are selected, and the belt connection opens their souls, but not for all humans. Astral bodies, souls, according to several internet sites, including prominent sites, enterprisemission.com and Dark Mission. Not familiar with those. Well, certainly will be, though. Some members have observed an electromagnetic frequency of a torsion field, forthcoming changes, which some NASA engineers told by government in 1947 producing a possible pole shift. It has been presented to me that many societies of ETs are going to be speaking to us in the next few years. Be extra careful who you stay or communicate with. The better ET societies, the war of the souls, very careful. Choose to be with human ET societies. Gives on a book on there. Talks about the Palladians are our friends. They realized that we were entering into this region of interstellar space. Now, I've known about us moving into this field, and there's a lot of warning now coming out on this. BP Earthwatch, there's just a lot. I won't get into this again. You can stop this, and I'm going to give you the link as well. Increase X-rays and gamma rays. Any scientist who has an atmospheric X-ray gamma ray detection, please let us know. Listen, I've been trying to get the gamma ray reports, but I can tell you as well. In essence, they've been here very long. Now, I'm going to do a second video, and we will go and start with how they're controlling humans. So, as you can see, multidimensional. They feed off of us. Remember all that negative energy you get when you get in fights? Do you ever feel it intensifying? Yeah, it is, folks. There's a reason for it. You're being amped up. All of us are. It's having dramatic effects on us. The succubus. The succubus has been around for a long time. These unearthly demons that come in and would steal the souls and suck the energy off of their people. They're called succubuses and incubuses. And, you know, these are just, I don't know what and where people's heads are. They get into the purpose of religion. Again, is it to divide or is it to unite? We talk about mind control. Who is controlling the strings, how they're doing it, why people around you seem to be more agitated. We can see as well that they have brain frequencies that come in. Our military is under attack. Remember, these are human beings that are up there. They're your sons and your daughters, your husbands, your wives. It's a fact. We've got to learn how to protect ourselves. And there are earth changes coming, folks. Big earth changes coming. We need to beware. So the question is, who is our friend? In the next video, we will get into a little bit more of this for sure. But here, think about this. One who's our friend is fond of us. One who's fond of us isn't necessarily our friend.